So, Namaste, welcome to you all. Today is the second day. Now they will chant the Kathopanishad where we stopped yesterday. That we will continue, and afterwards Mataji will explain to you everything. Okay.
ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः अन्यच्छ्रेयोऽन्यदुतैव प्रेयस्ते उभे नानार्थे पुरुषं सिनीतः तयो श्रेय आददानस्य साधु भवति हीयतेऽर्थाद्यौ प्रेयो वृणीते श्रेयश्च प्रेयश्च मनुष्यमेतस्तौ सम्परीत्य विविनक्तिधीरः श्रेयो हि धीरोऽभिप्रेयसो वृणीते प्रेयो मन्दो योगक्षेमादृणीते सत्वं प्रियान् प्रियरूपांश्च कामान् अभिध्यायन् नचिकेतोऽत्यसाक्षिः नैतां शृङ्गां वित्तमयीमवाप्तो यस्यां मज्जन्ति बहवो मनुष्याः दूरमेते विपरीते विशोचि अविद्याया च विद्येति ज्ञाताम् विद्याभीप्सिनं नचिकेतसं मन्ये नत्वा कामा बहवो लोलुपन्त अविद्यायाम् अन्तरे वर्तमाना स्वयं धीरा पण्डितं मन्यमानाः दन्द्रम्यमाणा पर्यन्ति मूढा अन्धेनैव नीयमाना यथान्धाः न साम्पराय प्रतिभाति बालं प्रमाद्यन्तं वित्तमोहेन मूढम् अयं लोको नास्ति पर इति मानि पुनः पुनर्वशमापद्यते मे श्रवणायापि बहुभिर्यो न लभ्य शृण्वन्तोऽपि बहवोऽयं न विद्युः आश्चर्यो वक्ता कुशलोऽस्य लब्धा आश्चर्यो ज्ञाता कुशलानुशिष्टः न नरेणावरेण प्रोक्त एष सुविज्ञेयो बहुधा चिन्त्यमानः अनन्यप्रोक्ते गतिरत्र नास्ति तर्कमणोप्रमाणान् नैषा तर्केण मतिरापनेया प्रोक्तानेनैव सुज्ञानाय प्रेष्ठम् यां त्वमाप सत्यधृतिर्भतासि त्वादृङ्नो भूयान्नचिकेत पृष्टा जानाम्यहं शेवधिरिद्य नित्यं न ध्रुवै प्राप्यते हि ध्रुवं ततो मया नाचिकेतश्चितोऽग्निरनित्यैर्द्रव्ये प्राप्तवानस्मि नित्यम् कामस्याप्तिं जगत प्रतिष्ठां क्रतोरानन्त्यमभयस्य पारम् स्तोमं महदुर्गायं प्रतिष्ठां दृष्ट्वा धृत्या धीरो नचिकेतोऽत्यसाक्षिः तं दुर्दर्शं गूढमनुप्रविष्टं गुहाहितं गह्वरेशं पुराणम् अध्यात्मयोगाधिगमेन देवं मत्वा धीरो हर्षशोकौ जहाति एतत् श्रुत्वा सम्परिगृह्य प्रगृह्य धर्म्यम् अणुमेतमाप्य समोदते मोदनीयं विलब्ध्वा विवृतं सद्मन्नचिकेतसं मन्ये अन्यत्र धर्मादन्यत्राधर्मादन्यत्रास्मात् कृतात् अन्यत्र भूताश्च भव्याश्च यत्तत् पश्यसि तद्वद सर्वे वेदा यत्पदमामनन्ति तपांसि सर्वाणि च यद्वदन्ति यदिच्छन्तो ब्रह्मचर्यं चरन्ति तत्ते पदं सङ्ग्रहेण ब्रवीमि ओमित्येतत् एतदेवाक्षरं ब्रह्म एतदेवाक्षरं परम् एतदेवाक्षरं ज्ञात्वा यो यदिच्छति तस्य तत् एतदालम्बनं श्रेष्ठमेतदालम्बनं परम् एतदालम्बनं ज्ञात्वा ब्रह्मलोके महीयते न जायते म्रियते वा विपश्चिन्नायं कुतश्चिन्न बभूव कश्चित् अजो नित्यशाश्वतोऽयं पुराणो न हन्यते हन्यमाने शरीरे हन्ता चे मन्यते हन्तुं हतश्चे मन्यते हतम् उभौ तौ न विजानीतो नायं हन्ति न हन्यते अणोरणीयान् महतो महीयान् आत्मास्य जन्तोर्निहितो गुहायाम् तमक्रतो पश्यति वीतशोको धातु प्रसादान् महिमानमात्मनः आसीनो दूरं व्रजति शयानो याति सर्वतः कस्तं मदामदं देवं मदन्यो ज्ञातुमर्हति अशरीरं शरीरेष्वनमस्तेष्वस्थितम् महान्तं विभुमात्मानं मत्वा धीरो न शोचति नायमात्मा प्रवचनेन लभ्यो न मेधया न बहुना श्रुतेन यमेवैष वृणुते तेन लभ्यस्तस्यैष आत्मा विवृणुते तनुं स्वाम् नाविरतो दुश्चरिता नाशान्तो नासमाहितः नाशान्तमानसो वापि प्रज्ञानेनैनमाप्नुयात् यस्य ब्रह्म च क्षत्रं च उभे भवतोदनः मृत्युर्यस्योपसेचनं कयित्था वेदयत्र सः ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः.
My pranams to the Holy Trio, pranams to Matajis and namaste to all devotees. We will resume our study of the Kathopanishad. So today's chanting, as you just heard, covers the second chapter of the Kathopanishad. There are 6 chapters and this is a very long chapter, second chapter, with very many luminous ideas. So this second chapter has so many ideas which we can use and very, very discerning, very, very pointed truths about our own deeper life. Like you see this very first idea, Shreyas and Preyas. Shreyascha Preyascha Manushyameta Tau Samparitya Vivinakti Dhiraha Dhirohi. What they are trying to say fundamentally is, 2 things come into a man's life. What is
pleasurable and what is preferable. These two are different. In many Western societies, they are not considered different. But the Upanishad is telling us the preferable is different from the pleasurable. And who becomes truly wise? One who chooses the preferable to the pleasurable. So this preferable is Shreyas. So we have that in all Indian languages, Shreyas kar jo hota hai, which means what is good for us. And prayers means what is pleasurable, what tingles the senses. And that is considered not so good for us, according to the Upanishad. See, now you got up and you want to have breakfast, you opened your fridge, there is an apple and there is also a piece of cake. Shreyas is to eat the apple, but prayers is to go in for the cake. But what do we do? When you open the fridge and you are very hungry, many times we go in for the piece of cake. So that is what they are telling us. What is Shreyaskar and what is Preyaskar are different. In many societies on this planet, they are not different. Prayas is Shreyas. Are you seeing it? Yes? Pleasure is life. No. Upanishad will say it is not. Pleasure is pain. In the long run, anything which just tingles your senses will only give you frustration and pain. But there are deeper joys to life if you opt for Shreyas. That is why Shreyas is preferable. So remember this, even nature will show you this, that those plants which flower very early don't give proper fruit. A good gardener will actually remove flowers in the beginning so that the plant grows fully and then it will yield very good fruit. So if you want the fruits of life, you must go in for Shreyas. Now we live in this age where, it is all short-driven dopamine release, instinctual drive which rules the mind. What are your media networks but dopamine-driven instinctive loops giving you instant gratification? But this will only lead to frustration. See, they are not taking a pessimistic view of life. They are giving you the facts of life. There are deeper joys, but then you have to go in for Shreyas. Then there will be deep, fulfilling joy in life. Otherwise, it's just feeble and transient. So that's called pain, that's not called joy. So this age of overstimulation, this idea is very important. Shreyas and prayers are two different things. If you opt for Shreyas, you will have a fulfilling life. If you opt for prayers, you will have a very superficial life of constant frustration and anger and a little pleasure, little frustration, little anger, that's all. By that time we are old. We grow old before we grow up. So that is what they are telling us in the very first mantra. Then you see, I told you it's full of luminous ideas, both these chapters. Then he says, the good and the pleasant are both open to man. A wise person prefers the good after closely examining the two and weighing their merits and demerits. But a short-sighted person prefers the pleasant, for he is only concerned with increasing and preserving physical comforts, a little psychological consolation. That is more than enough for many people. So it all depends on how deep you have made your mind. According to that, it searches for experience outside. That is why, right from the age of schooling, it is important to give higher sanskars, a higher taste, so that we opt for Shreyas all through our life. Otherwise, the world will draw away our energies. By the time we understand this is not the way, we are too old. So take care of this. This is what they are telling us. Then he says, Yama, see this, Yama is teaching Nachiketa, right? So then he tells Nachiketa, but I offered you prayers again and again, and you didn't take it. So now I consider you really, I deem you fit for this knowledge. Now listen to me, what I'm going to tell you. Duramete viparite vishuchi, avidya cha vidyeti jnata. See, all these verses are, mantras are telling us secular learning and spiritual learning. Both, you require secular learning for living well in this life. But spiritual learning is required for this life, to balance this life, to gain fulfillment in this life, and also for the afterlife. So what should we invest in? See, those who are really smart in life invest in far-term goals, isn't it? So that my future is assured. So that's what he's telling him. If you invest in spiritual knowledge, it will last not just through this life, but even after the afterlife. It will give you great inner strength. It will give you balance. It will give you the capacity to face the problems here and hereafter. So we will never fall off balance, and you will always be able to bounce back. So these are the learnings he is giving. And then he says, Avidyayam antare vartamana swayam dhira panditam manyamana dandramyamana pariyanti moodha andhenaiva niyamana yathanda. Those who just fall for pleasure, the pleasure instinct constantly, they are really blind, short-sighted, incapable of even envisioning the long-term goal. So they fall into this chakra of pain again and again. And they also have their own degree of wisdom, which they will try to impart to others. This world is all that there is. Make the most of it. That is their wisdom. Yes, when you have short sight, you still have some sight, no? So so that's what the meaning is. Dandramyamana pariyanti moodha andhenaiva niyamana yatha. They are constantly imparting their little wisdom because they have not seen the real goal of life. These are the fools who invest in short-term pleasure rather than long-term satisfaction, who invest in prayers rather than shreyas. So take care of this. See in how many ways they are telling us. Tell me which other culture will tell you this. For those of you who have gone outside India and traveled the world, which other culture will tell you this? Upanishad is really like a mother. Mother always tells us what is good for us, isn't it? She won't, suppose the child wants to enjoy 10 different things in the mall. The mother will say, no, this will lead to this, this will lead to this. Be careful, use this, take this, don't take that. Upanishad is telling us. The world is a huge mall. And we are like kids in a candy shop. So Upanishad is telling us, choose what is Shreyaskar. Don't choose what is prayers. So take care of this. See, this is the value of Indian culture. It is a culture of caution, of living with great inner dignity, living with, values and pristinely pure values, not diluted versions of something. Why? Because we have a spiritual goal to life. Life is meant for that, not to be wasted on material objects. So bring all that you want into your life, but you must know how to use it, how much to use it, how much to invest in it. Otherwise it's sheer waste of life. So see, that's the refrain of all these mantras. They are cautioning us, be careful. Don't be mesmerized by what you see. Then he urges Nachiketa, what you have selected is correct, my son. Pursue it. Pursue the knowledge of the self. Shravanayapi bahubiryo na labhyo, shrinvantopi bahavo yamna vidyuhu, ascharyo vakta kushalosya labdha. The meaning of these mantras, this mantra is, you cannot know it. Most people will not know it even by hearing. Shravanayapi bahubiryo na labhyo, shrinvantopi bahavo yamna vidyuhu. Even having heard about it, those who hear it also are not able to grasp the meaning. Now suppose I say, you are consciousness itself. You cannot see consciousness, you cannot hear it, it's not an object for the senses, nor can you conceive of consciousness. You cannot create a vritti about it. How will you know it? So that is why then he says, Ascharyo Vakta Kushalo Salabdha. A real teacher is required who will put down mind and help you see the underlying substratum of your thought process. Ascharyo Vakta means this, a teacher who is able to give you direct knowledge of the self. Please understand, the self is never absent. Even right now, you are only the self. But you think you are body and mind. Right? Huh? I am is your only experience of yourself. Always. But I am this and that is made up by the mind. Check this out and see. Right now, I am. That is the fact of your existence. ನಾನು ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. ನಾನು ಏನಿದ್ದೀನಿ ಅಂತ ನೋಡಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋಗಬೇಡಿ. ನಾನು ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. I am. I pertains to consciousness. Am pertains to existence. This is the only fact about your being. But I am so and so. All mind is drawing upadhis, superimposing them on I am and giving you a sense of your personality. And you think you are personality. So stop the mind. This mental process which gives you a sense of yourself as a person is to be blocked. That is why Chitta Vritti Nirodha yesterday we were discussing. Otherwise memory, instinct and desire will always make you think you are somebody. The only fact of your experience is I am. ಯಾರಾದರೂ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರಾ ನಾನು ಇದೀನೋ ಇಲ್ವೋ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ ನನಗೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರಾ ಯಾರಾದರೂ? Do you ever doubt you are there or not? No. I am is always there. Once you feel the truth of this, you will only try to deepen that I am sense. That is spiritual life. This sense of scintillating sense of awareness that is within us. I am. That you will deepen. Not all my upadhis and I am this and I am that and I want to become this and I want to become that. That is all creation of mind, please see. Because the mind survives on upadhis. ಏನಾದರೂ ಒಂದು ಉಪಾಧಿ ಇದ್ದರೆ ನನಗೆ ಏನೋ ಒಂದು ಅಸ್ತಿತ್ವ ಇದೆ ಅಂತ ಅದು ಜ್ಞಾನ ಕೊಡುತ್ತೆ ಮನಸ್ಸು. ಯು ಮಸ್ಟ್ ಸ್ಟಾಪ್ ಇಟ್. ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ವೈ. ದೆನ್ ಓನ್ಲಿ ಐ ಆಮ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿಕಮ್ ಡಿಸ್ಟಿಂಕ್ಟ್ ಇನ್ ಯೋರ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೀರಿಯನ್ಸ್. It is the most fundamental fact about you. Fundamental andreno? Basic reality of your being is that. The sense of I am. Ad bitbitu navu yen ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ? You can't imagine our silliness. When you come to Vedanta only, we understand how silly our mind is. What are we trying to... ನಾವು ಯಾವುದಕ್ಕೆ ಅಸ್ತಿತ್ವ ಕೊಡಕ್ಕೆ ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ? ಟ್ರೈ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. ಇಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ನೋ ಮೀನಿಂಗ್. ಯೋರ್ ಸ್ವರೂಪ್ ಇಸ್ ನೆವರ್ ಚಾಲೆಂಜ್ಡ್. ಐ ಆಮ್ ಇಸ್ ನೆವರ್ ಚಾಲೆಂಜ್ಡ್. ಯು ಡೋಂಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಬಿಲ್ಡ್ ಆನ್ ಪರ್ಸನಾಲಿಟಿ. ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಅಡಾಪ್ಟ್ ಅ ಪರ್ಸನಾಲಿಟಿ ಟು ಫಂಕ್ಷನ್ ಇನ್ ದ ವರ್ಲ್ಡ್ ಅಷ್ಟೇ. ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಇಟ್ಸ್ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂ. The very meaning of the word personality in Greek, it comes from Greek persona. Persona andre mask. In olden Greece, when there were plays, ಇವತ್ತಿನ ಥರ ಥಿಯೇಟರ್ಸ್ ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲ ಆವಾಗ. There used to be plays and women would not be allowed in those plays. Only men could play even the roles of women. So they had to wear masks and play. Now he is playing the actor is playing the role of a king, he will wear the mask of a king. Then he becomes the queen, he will wear the mask of the queen. So that mask was called persona. ಅಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಬಂದಿದೆ ಪರ್ಸನಾಲಿಟಿ. ಅದೊಂದು ಮಾಸ್ಕ್. See, you are something in your workplace, okay? You are a boss, say, in your workplace. Can you be a boss at home? Somebody else is the boss at home. Again, with your friends, you can never be a boss, otherwise you won't have friends. So you are wearing so many masks and playing so many roles. Personality-ge yav continuity nu illa. There is nothing continuous and authentic about your personality. It's a mask you're wearing to play a particular role to satisfy a particular job. Ashte. But your Swarupa is never challenged. The I am sense within you is perpetual and perennial because it is to do with your consciousness. So adanna hidkobeku. Spiritual life means you must catch hold of that and shake away other things. Give things the importance they deserve. A really intelligent mind will give things the importance they deserve. So this is what an Ascharya Vakta will do. Guru will put down your ego, put down your mind, so that you are able to see the truth about yourself. Illade nanu idu adu naan hige hage antane navu irತೀವಿ. No meaning in our sense of identity. So please remember this, identity is only an assumption. The fact of your being is ever present reality. To be able to understand this is Vedanta. And to dive deep into it, the I am sense, to go deep into it and see what it is only pure consciousness, pure awareness, existence itself. And only one being is there, shining in so many persona. One actor playing so many roles. And you are that. Tattvamasi Shvetaketu. So this is what he will be telling us in the next few mantras. That is why, Guru is required, teacher is required. In Vedanta, the power of the teacher's mind will put down our minds. That is the fact in Vedanta. That is why keep up the study of Vedanta always under a teacher. You must never miss it out. Yakandre constant Shravan will keep us on the goal, towards the goal. Otherwise we'll get mixed up with our persona and be something else, So then he says, why self-knowledge can be difficult? He says, if an unqualified person tries to teach the self, he will help you only build persona. Some more masks he will help you build. See, if a person with a materialistic bent of mind teaches about the self will never be understood. That is why the qualification for spiritual knowledge is completely different. Maturity of mind means ability to shake off upadhis and stand as you are. Be as you are anta one book ide alla. Have you heard? Be as you are. The maturity of mind means ability to do this. Otherwise, a silly mind will always keep on increasing its upadhis all through life. And wanting to appear as this and appear as that, and to whom? The world is not a respecter of appearances. If there's real content, it will come to you. So if you really delve into self-knowledge, everything will come to you. In Taittiriya Upanishad, this is actually mentioned. Annavanannado bhavati, mahan bhavati, prajaya pashubhi, brahmavarchasena, mahan kirtya. Everything comes to the knower of Brahman because he has gone into the truth of existence itself. Not into an individuality sense or egoistic pursuit. So this is what he is also telling here. So when the right teacher is he who helps you see Brahman, and when such a teacher teaches, the disciple has no more conflicting thoughts in the mind. This is the way to self-knowledge. So the qualifications here are different. The qualification here is the ability to drop mind and identity. Without that, nobody can come to self-knowledge, actually speaking. Identity has its place in interaction. Ashtu respect adukku kodbittu adukku dura idbeku. Then Naisha tarkena matirapaneya proktanye naiva sujnanaya preshta. You cannot get to self-knowledge by tarka, logic. Tomorrow I have talk in IISc, all logic only I am going to use. Yakendre we are conditioned by science. So, science only believes in logic. What you cannot grasp through logic is not there. This is a science which does not contradict logic but transcends it. You know what is logic? Logic is a way of formalizing your common sense. That's all. So when you formalize your common sense, you are less likely to make errors in thinking. So it will help you think better. That is the function of logic. But do you know, the mind itself has limits which apply to the limits of logic. Because logic also is through the mind. It is vritti jnana. You cannot get self-knowledge through vritti jnana. You cannot conceive of the self in the mind. Maad nodi, igle maad nodi. Can you think of consciousness? Tell me. Anybody can think of consciousness? You can think in consciousness, but not of consciousness. You are thinking in your awareness. Please see. You are not thinking of awareness. When this is the state of affairs, you cannot use vritti jnana to get self-knowledge. So you cannot use tarka. It will fail. That's why naisha tarkena matirapaneya. So the process to self-knowledge is not mere logic. Logic will convince your intellect so that you will go into sadhana. That is the use of logic. Once it convinces your intellect, you will do the required discipline to go into meditation and do sadhana and get self-knowledge. But logic itself will not lead you to the goal. Knowing this, then you see, he says, Yam tvamapa satyadhitir batasi twadrinyo no bhuyat nachiketa prashtha. You have attained this from instructions you received from someone who did not depend upon reasoning but studied the scriptures and then realized the self. Indeed, Nachiketa, may there be more seekers like you, which means go to a man of realization for this knowledge. Go to one who has dwelt long on this. Go to a knower of the scriptures, but don't just go to a Tarkic, a logician. That's what he is saying. Then he says, I know that wealth as well as all fruits of work are transitory, and you cannot attain the self through transitory things. And that is why, oh Nachiketa, you have chosen wisely. Anything you can get through wealth, but that anything is of this world. You cannot get the self. So that's why I told you, give things the importance they deserve. Wealth has its place, prosperity, money, your home, your possessions, everything has their place in your life. They will only cater to a certain level of comfort in your life. A certain level of security, financial security in your life. They don't go beyond that. But if you invest in self-knowledge, you go even beyond the limits of mind. That is why this is the goal of human life. In Vedic thought, always there were fourfold purusharthas, which means goals to human life. Dharma, artha, kama, moksha. Everything should be based on dharma. First is righteousness. That's why that should be part of the educational process. Second is artha. Without money, you can't do anything in this world. So earn money. They don't tell you don't earn money. Earn money well, but give it its place in your life. It is not everything to you. Third is kama, the fulfillment of legitimate desires. Then only you move forward. And fourth is moksha. And these are all moksha shastras. They are teaching you that ultimate knowledge. Then he says, again the same refrain is there. You have rejected this and that is why what is the real permanent thing in life will come to you. He goes on saying this, and then he says, but it is difficult to arrive at this knowledge. For the simple reason, our senses are turned outward. One has to go beyond the dualities of life in order to arrive at this knowledge. Now see, what is the meaning of all this? I will tell you in a few minutes the very essence of Vedanta. Then you will understand why he is saying so many things. See, the essence of Vedanta is this much only. Brahman the ultimate reality of the universe, is scattered in the hearts of all. As consciousness, He is sitting in the hearts of all. I am that Brahman, and each one of us is that Brahman. But we tend to identify with body-mind complex. This tendency is in the mind, because identity, ahamatmika antakarana vritti, belongs to mind. So the correction is to be made in the mind. How to make the correction? You start with yoga. You start with a simple process like quietening mind, purifying mind. Then you introduce some kind of a meditative process, which will give you an abhas, a sense of the empty mind and fully conscious state. Then you deepen that conscious state. Deepen it, finally it becomes pure consciousness at some point of time. That is the meaning of Chitta Vritti Nirodh. Yesterday we discussed. You are stopping the modifications of the mind to see the underlying reality. That is so significant. What she asked yesterday, why should I stop the modifications of my mind? The second sutra of Patanjali says, Yogastu Chitta Vritti Nirodh. Why should you do that? Tada Drashtu Swarupe Avasthanam. That's the third sutra. Third sutra is telling why you should do the second sutra. Tada Drashtu Swarupe Avasthanam means so that you uncover the underlying awareness of the thought process. The awareness gets invested in the thought, and you are enjoying the thought, and through the thought, life. But if you stop the thought process, the underlying awareness will come to the forefront. And you will understand awareness is the reality. You become deeply conscious in the first person, not deeply thoughtful merely. Are you getting it? This is the state to be aimed at. If you don't do this also, they are telling you in the fourth sutra what will happen. If you don't do tada drashtu swarupe avasthanam, what will happen? Vritti sarupyam itaratra. You will be carried away by your vrittis, by the modifications of your mind. If you don't adopt this process, you will be carried away by your thoughts, and you won't be able to find the self. See, everything they are telling you, this is called, like Brahma Sutra Chatussutri, this is Yoga Sutra Chatussutri. I will repeat. Atha Yoga Anushasanam is the first sutra of Patanjali Yoga Sutras. Second, means we are now going to study yoga. Second, Yogastu Chitta Vritti Nirodh. Yoga is stopping the modifications of the mind. Why would you want to do that? Tada Drashtu Swarupe Avasthanam. So that the witnessing awareness, which is the undercurrent of your mind, comes to the forefront. You have become fully conscious. And if you don't do this, there is great problem, because vritti sarupyam itaratra. Otherwise, you will be carried away by the modifications of your mind. This is the simple truth about how to reach the self. What if you don't stop the modifications of your mind? Do you still see the self? Just now we are not seeing because we are getting carried away, by the thought processes. But it is possible. One who is established in yoga can keep his eyes open and see the same self. It is possible. For the jnani, it is possible. Did Thakur always keep his eyes shut? He himself said, what I see when I keep my eyes shut is what I see when I keep it open. Once you are established in yoga, you will see the same reality even with eyes open. So then no problem. Don't worry. Permanently you don't have to keep eyes shut. The process of yoga is only meant to gain first-hand self-knowledge, first-person experience, most important. That is why they are telling us all this. This is the main means to self-knowledge. Then, then again there is, Nachiketa says something that please give me this knowledge, tell me the relationship between cause and effect, how I will be able to get this. And then Yama says, I will tell you in one word, Sarve Veda Yad Padamamananti, Tapansi Sarvani Cha Yad Vadanti, Yadichanto Brahmacharyam Charanti, Tatte Badam Sangrahena Bravini. Which means that which all Upanishads reveal, that for which people practice austerities and brahmacharya. That I will tell you in one word, Om iti etat. That is verily Om. Now what is Om? Om is the sound symbol of Brahman. Sound symbol of Brahman. See, can Brahman have symbols? Can it be? Adrishyam, asparsham. It is like that, no, not available to senses or mind. Then how can there be symbols? Why symbols? Why is he saying? The mind requires symbols to transcend its ways. Self does not require symbols. Mind requires symbols. I told you sadhana pertains to mind. So, some kind of symbol can be used. So, even this, you see, Thakur Ma Swamiji, we are today in the modern age, we are using symbols like this. They point to the state of consciousness that is divine, to the state of Brahman. But it is a symbolic form which we are worshipping. So symbols are very practical aids to self-knowledge. Many times, our mind cannot do without symbols. So adopt a method, they are telling you. Either it will be Om, understand what is Om. Om is actually speaking the highest word symbol of Brahman. Because, just repeating Om will lead you to the state of pure being. If japa becomes ajapa, it will reveal Brahman, the repetition of Om. But the practice is required. No use just discussing the method. This is one important thing you must note. What the mind requires is not merely discussion but practice. Practice. Practice means repetition. By repetition, it changes its ways. Its knowledge will change. So the practice is the most important thing. You must hear the importance of this and dive into the practice. Thakur used to say this, gospel, how many times he says this. So here they are telling us, Om. Briefly I will tell you, the most important thing is Om. Then, Etadevaksharam Brahma, Etadevaksharam Param. This is Brahman, Om. And this is Param, the highest. Etadevaksharam Jnatva yo yadichasi. Whatever you want to get, you will get through meditation on Om. Even the highest knowledge of Brahman. And this is Etadalambanam Shreshtam, Etadalambanam Param, Etadalambanam Jnatva, Brahmaloke Mahiyate. You will get all realms, wherever you want to go, through the practice of this Om. This is what they are saying. Brahman with attributes, Brahman without attributes, or this world, experiencing this world. Everything you will get by Omkar. The practice of chanting Om. Then again he dives into self-knowledge. You see, na jayate vriyate va vipaschin nayam kutaschin na babhuva kaschit ajo nitya shashvatoyam purano na hanyate hanidis, from Bhagavad Gita. Same verse is there. The self is not born, it does not die. It is not born of something, nor is something born from it. It is without birth, eternal, unchanging, always present. The body perishes, but the self never dies. And same thing again is there. Hanta chain manyate hantum. If the killer thinks he is going to kill, and if the person killed thinks he has killed, both of them do not know the self. Can consciousness be killed? Then what is death? Fall of body. The rest of you continue. Most of you continue. See, in Vedanta, your personality is not just body and mind. It is the Panchakosha model. You remember Panchakosha model? Annamay Kosh, Pranmay Kosh, Manomay Kosh, Vijnanamay Kosh, Anandmay Kosh. And then Atman behind that. This is your personality. Death is only separation of Annamay Kosh from the rest of you. That's all. So, for the dying man there is no death. He is continuing, he knows it. For the onlooker there is death. You closely observe the death process. If somebody is passing on, just watch and see. The dying man has no death. The onlooker is perceiving death. and interpreting it, saying, oh, he's gone. He's carrying on, don't worry. That is the fact. Your Manomay Kosh is entirely separated from the Annamay Kosh by the withdrawal of prana, Pranmay Kosh. And you continue, but the body falls, so it is considered you are dead. It's a misinterpretation. But this is felt best by one who has identified strongly with his higher faculties. If I think I'm only the body, then really the fall of the body will be considered my fall, isn't it? So this is how it is being described. Then Anoraniyan Mahato Mahiyan Atmasya Janto Nihito Guhayam. I told you very many ideas are there in this chapter. This self is smaller than the smallest, bigger than the biggest. It lies deep in the heart of every being as its own self. The person who has renounced all desires and has gained full control over the mind and other sense organs can see the greatness of this self and nobody else. See, these are the preconditions. You must get charge over your mind. Then it is possible to get self-knowledge. Otherwise, mind will create such obstructions. You cannot know the self. So sadhana pertains to this, taking charge of the mind. Then why do they say it is bigger, smaller than the smallest, bigger than the biggest? Then Mahato Mahiyan, all this also they will say. The self is motionless, travels far and yet it is near. All this they will say. Why? See, they want to shake you out of the dual framework of the mind. Consciousness is all that there is. But mind thinks in terms of duality. Where are time, space, causation, everything, they are in the mind. And mind creates the stage for subject and object. Actually speaking, subject and object are not two. There are no two things. Because consciousness itself becomes the... See, grasp this point, otherwise our study of Vedanta will be incomplete. Why is Advaita true and why are all dual systems just trying to come to the truth? Why is it so? For the simple reason, anything you perceive, you are perceiving in your awareness, right? Anybody is perceiving anything outside awareness? Are you perceiving outside? No, in your awareness only you perceive. Now when this is the situation, everything is perceived. Now see, suppose I am perceiving this. Because I am a self-aware entity, I am perceiving this. Suppose I was a robot, I would not feel the reality of this. Only according to my sensors, I would catch a picture of this and transmit it wherever it requires to be transmitted. I won't feel the reality of this. Felt experience is possible only due to awareness. So perception is only possible in awareness, right? Now when perception is only possible in awareness, it means awareness is inextricably linked to the perceptive process. You got it? Awareness is linked to this process of perception, which means what? If something depends on something for its perception, they are not two things, one thing in two forms. Obvious, isn't it? That is why there is no duality. If you have caught the logic, you will understand why they say there is no duality. Anything to be perceived requires awareness. Now, I will give you a simple illustration. See, when do I say these two objects are independent? When this can remain independent of this and this can remain independent of this, right? Then they are two separate objects, two independent realities. One is book, one is this case. Now, when it comes to the objects of this world, nothing is perceptible without awareness. Perception happens in awareness. Which means what? There cannot be two independent realities. Independent means this does not depend on this for its existence, but everything perceived depends on awareness for its existence. Are you catching the point? Which itself means there is only one thing in two forms, appearing as two things. That is why Vedanta will say there is only consciousness appearing as its own object. That is why Advaita. That is why Brahma Satyam, Jagan Mithya. Mithya is Jagat, but true as Brahman. World is true as Brahman, but it is false as Jagat. That is all they are saying. See, look at this podium here, this table. This is actually only wood. To your senses and mind, it's a table. Name, form, function imposed by your mind. Actually, this is only wood. So if I develop wood drishti, table drishti will go. If you develop Brahma drishti, Jagat drishti will go. Not that you are, the world is going to go. I changed my perception of the world. One reality only is appearing as two. Subject is appearing as object. Wood is appearing as table. And so imposing on my mind, I feel the truth here is the table. Where is wood? A child would ask this, where is wood? This is a table. Actually, it's only wood appearing as a table. This is only Brahman appearing as the world. That is why Advaita alone is true. If you catch the logic and think about it again and again, see, I have given you a big clue. You must ponder over it again and again and again, and you will catch what they are trying to say. Now, constantly they will be saying, only Brahman exists, the world does not exist. It is made up by your mind. This is what they are saying. To be able to get this wood drishti, not table drishti. We have had enough of table drishti. Drishti jnanamayam kritva pashyet brahmamayam jagat. I have to change my drishti, not change the outside. If the jnana drishti is developed, only one consciousness will be seen. It appears as its own object. See, that is the beauty of life. I am appearing as you in a different form with a different name. If this becomes our drishti, how will I treat you? Do I require a system of ethics and a police force to keep me functioning properly? How will I treat you if I see myself in you? That is why Advaita is the foundation of ethics. Vivekananda used to say, the infinite oneness of the soul. The infinite oneness of the soul is the stronghold of all ethics. Otherwise, why at all should I be good to you? Because the fact is you are me in another form. I am you in another form. Only forms differ. Content is the same. The same awareness is shining through so many eyes. See, there are how many? I think 7.5 billion people on the planet. Or 8 billion now. Do you think there are 8 billion selves? Atman? 8 billion Atma? Are there? One self shining through 8 billion forms. That is the perception of the Jnani. This is the essence of Vedanta. Unitary vision of consciousness. For this to happen, when you switch your own, when you transform your own consciousness, you switch your perception. Don't try to do it merely intellectually and logically. You must transform your consciousness, you will switch your perceptions automatically. That is why self-knowledge is the way. I must first transform myself, know the reality about my own being, then I will see you automatically as that same reality. If I start the process from outside, no, I will correct this one, that one, that one, that one, then I will try for self-knowledge. It won't happen. Will it happen? Every youngster tries this. I want to change the world. You can only change yourself. And then perceive the world for what it is, not what it is appearing to you. Appearances are deceptive, Antarayalla. This is fact. So you see, this is Vedanta, Advait Vedanta. In many of these mantras, now he will keep talking of this. See. This self, it is motionless, yet it travels far and wide. It is inactive, yet most active. It is of the nature of pure consciousness. It is both joyless and joyful. Why they say all this? Because it is beyond the normal parameters of joy. It is bliss itself. Pure awareness is pure bliss, is pure existence. But not the way your mind conceives of it. Mind is the supreme misinterpreter of life. Right? You are very comfortable with your mind? You must look at it for what it is. It is the greatest mischief maker possible. And yet it gives you your experiences of life, so you can't discount it. So make friends with it, but clean it up. That is the way of self-knowledge. Be friends with it, but clean it up, so that it will reveal reality as it is. It won't reveal, it will move aside, that's all. It has no power to reveal reality, mind, because it is Prakriti. Prakriti does not reveal Purusha. Purusha empowers Prakriti. So it will move aside after some time, if you purify it. So that is the way of self-knowledge. Then again, Nayam Atma Pravachanena Labhyo Na Medhaya Na Bahuna Shrutena Yame Vaisha Vrunute Tena Labhya Tasesha Atma Vivudate Tanam Svam. He's saying, you cannot grasp this self through scholarship. Can you? No. Why? When it is not even an object of thought, how can scholarship grasp it? And it is not about the power of your intelligence. Obviously, it is the very source of your intelligence. And so, just hearing about it from many sources will not do. But he whom the self chooses, to him it will reveal itself. What is the meaning of this? Is the self another entity like some God who by his will reveal himself to you? Is it like that? What is the meaning of Yame Vaisha Vrunite Tena Labhya? Tell me. A very important clue is being given. The text is saying the self is revealed to the person to whom it wishes to reveal itself. What is the meaning of this? Grace. Okay, that is one. The Bhakta will say that. Okay, it is the grace of the self, you can say. What else can it mean? See, if your mind has become sensitive enough, it will penetrate into self directly. It will be like the self has chosen that mind. It will appear like that. If it has become sensitive enough, what is the meaning of sensitivity here? Not the ego sensitivity which we have. Not that. Being sensitive to the self means hankering for self-knowledge. Yearning. Thakur used to say, only Vyakulata will work. Hankering for self-knowledge will bring self-knowledge. Check and see how much hankering you have. In direct proportion will be your realization. That is the equation of spiritual life. Exactly you will get what you want. And you must see the whole mind, not just your conscious mind in the Sunday class. You must see what's your subconscious wanting, what your unconscious is wanting, and then make the analysis. Draw the mean value, and you will know what you will get. So if the whole mind is yearning for self-knowledge, you will have it. Because you are already that. You are only the self insinuating as a human being. You know, the whole story, Advait Vedanta, whole story is only this much. The Atman reflects in the Buddhi and thinks it is an identity. It has an identity. And appears as a jiva to itself. And then sees the world of objects and gets confused by it and starts searching for self-realization. And then comes upon a guru and thinks he has, I don't have, so let me become disciple. Then he sees that guru is only reflecting what he has deepest in himself. and automatically he enters self. That is all. This is the story of every spiritual aspirant. You only came out as the jiva. Even now, you are only the self. That is why the way of Advait Vedant is the way of crushing out thought and mauna. You are already that. See it. I told you, your most intense experience of yourself, your sense of being is only I am. Not I am this and that. That is all tertiary, assumed. So catch this I am. If you catch this much, it's enough sadhana. You know one person who did this, Nisargadatta Maharaj, have you heard? He only did this much. This I am sense in us, he only caught hold of that all the time. It turned into self-knowledge. Yes, Raman Maharshi, only I, not even I am. Who am I? Koham. Ashte. You need very little for self-knowledge. It's the easiest, most obvious thing. Problem is our mind is complicated. It wants a complicated method. ಇಲ್ಲ ಹಿಮಾಲಯ ಪಂಗೋಟ್ ರಿಟ್ರೀಟ್ ಹೋಗದೆ ಇದ್ರೆ ಆಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಯಾರು ಹೇಳಿದ್ದು? ಇಲ್ಲೇ see, anybody who has had self-knowledge only had it in the here and now. Not in Himalaya, not in some cave. Because just now the I am sense is only that pure consciousness. Understand this and pursue your path. And wherever you are and whatever you are doing is enough to get you this knowledge. Nothing more is required. So another 1 or 2 mantras we'll just glance through and then we'll take up Q&A. This is the moral dictate being given to us now. What is required for self-knowledge? Na virato duscharita, na ashanto, na asamahitaha, na shantamanaso vapi prajnanena inam apnuyat. One who is guilty of misconduct cannot realize the self. The same is the fate of the person whose mind is restless because of his weakness for pleasures, who is incapable of controlling his mind, or who is always looking for the fruits of his actions. The only way to attain self is through knowledge. We discussed this right in the beginning. Without a strong ethical base, nobody can become spiritual. If by chance you get some glimpse also, it will not last. So that is why a moral life, ethical life and committed relationships, this is fundamental to a higher life. So make this clear. And the only way to the self is through knowledge. Is there any other way? You can say, why Mataji Bhakti and karma? So this also we discussed in the first class. Our problem is ignorance. Solution is knowledge. If our problem was restlessness, solution would be concentration. If our problem was lovelessness, solution would be devotion. According to the problem is the solution. Our present problem is actually I don't know who I am. But I know everything in the world. In this world and even in the other worlds, and what is happening on Jupiter you can know just now. This is there, no? To tell us everything. But I don't know who I am. Look at the irony. So this is our problem. No hold over ourselves. But we know everything about everything. So with this, we will end the second chapter. And the urge, again, he urges Nachiketa. That is why I take this up. Further, we'll continue tomorrow. And I will open the floor to questions. Oh, sorry. Tomorrow I'm fully out. So, day after tomorrow. Monday. No, 11th na Mataji. Sunday. 11th. Next class is on 11th morning, day after tomorrow. Tomorrow programs are at Ramakrishna Math and IISc. So you can come there if you want. See, See, what we are going to discuss in IISc is very interesting. If I can tell you what exactly is happening there. See, the whole purpose of science is to study the objective world. Can a deep penetration into the objective help us gain self-knowledge? This is the question. And the answer is yes. Because Brahma Vidya Sarva Vidya Pratishtham. Brahma Vidya is the support of every other Vidya, even your objective sciences. All the sciences find their support and basis in Brahma Vidya, in the science of consciousness. We will see how that happens at IISc tomorrow, not here. Because they are sensitive to that only. And day after tomorrow we will resume our. Okay? So any questions? Okay.
So, if there is any relation or significance of symbols and patterns of science with Advaita, is it significant or is it just to
Advaita does not use symbols, but Vedanta will use symbols. Please understand, Vedanta has many schools. Advaita is not the only school. Advaita is the ultimate perception of Vedanta. But there are also Dvaita, Vishishta Dvaita, all these schools, they use symbols heavily. So you see, the child mind requires symbols. You are capable of grasping principles only when you have transcended symbols. Isn't it? Now what do we understand of Thakur? What do we think about Thakur? He was a man of God. Like that we think of him. But if you have felt the state of God consciousness, then he will become a symbol of the highest. This is how the mind grasps the principle. So you see, symbols are always useful to the mind in its baby steps towards God. Don't discount them, don't put them aside. Just because we are studying Advaita Vedanta, I will put aside all symbols. Don't do that.
this is related to symbolism. So suppose when we meditate and we feel love towards God or heaven, what if I now am having a little confusion? What if it is the mind which is playing a game? How do we know whether? And we feel bliss, let's say. But how do I know that that's not my mind which is playing a game? Because at the end it's all about Nirakara.
See, the purpose of this study is not to commit you to Nirakara. The purpose of this study is just to understand this Upanishad. If you are feeling bliss in meditating on the form of God, you should continue to do that. Why should you not do that? It is your mind only that is feeling the bliss. All affection, devotion, attraction is only in the mind. So, it will help purify the mind, these kind of practices. Go on practicing it. It is only through symbols like this that we proceed towards a principle. So you must continue to do it. Don't think, this is a lower stage, that is no such thing. You understand? Yes. Gaya Ganga Prabhashadi Kashi Kanchi Keva Chai. If you have Kali Spuran all the time, why should you go to Gaya Ganga Kashi? If you are getting that peace and full awareness right where you are, Ganga, Gaya, Kashi, everything is in your heart. You don't have to go anywhere. All pilgrimages and going anywhere to any Mahatma is only meant for that, to get that ajapa japa. So if Kali Kali Jadi Spurai, why should you go? Just intensify your practice, everything will come into your heart. Otherwise you have to go. If it's not coming, please go.
Please elaborate on, let's say, subject appears as both subjective. I mean, does it mean that the absolute reality appears as both pramata and pameya?
Exactly. See, how this happens, no, it is really a mystery. Only in the depths of meditation you can understand how the subject is making up itself. See, in a dream, for example, very difficult to wrap your mind around something like this because you are using mind to understand the state of self-knowledge, which is not the way. Mind will at the most give you hints. The self is to be encountered as a felt experience through practice, not through thought, not through vrittis. But this is a possibility. What you are saying is a perfect possibility because every time you dream, aren't you creating your dream world? See, now suppose yesterday night you had a dream, a tiger is chasing you. You created the tiger and the tiger chased you and your heart was thumping and you sweated. You did all this and then you woke up and then you realized it was a dream. How you created reality. So, you created both subject and object and identified with the subject and hated the object and ran away from the object and affected yourself entirely by the process. This is what we are doing. Consciousness creates its own object and identifies with it. That is the fact. And thinks it is separate from me. So, and yearns for union with that object. So we do all sorts of things. Normal life is about that.
Perception happens in consciousness. But does that make consciousness is the object also?
Perception happens only in consciousness because the object it's not real. See, if the object was real, we should have considered what happens next. Object is srishti, it is not creation. Srishti means projection. Consciousness is appearing as the object. That portion to be understood, one must touch samadhi. Not this kind of linear discussion. For the simple reason, the very fact that how you create your dream and identify with it, when that itself is such a big mystery, what to speak of how consciousness has created the world? I can give you one very simple example of everyday life. Maybe you can relate with that. See, when a mother gets her first child, for a long time, the child is she. The child and she doesn't think of two things. She may say it is my child, but for a long time it's an extension of herself. A sense of unity pervades even in the first few years of the child. And afterwards there's only a pranic bond because the minds can be very different. But this lasts for quite some time. It is something like that. A sense of deep connection because the subject has become the object. However fantastic this may sound just now, this is the reality of Vedanta. And for the Jnani, that is why. This is how he will see the world. That is why you should study the lives of Jnanis. Raman Maharshi used to say, for me there are no others. Thakur once, Thakur was standing in his room have you seen his room in Dakshineshwar? There was a boatman, two boatmen were quarreling on the ghat. And one boatman slapped another on the back. And the that thing came on Thakur's back. Because at that point he was in Bhav Samadhi and identified as the consciousness in all beings. So don't think self-knowledge means you are going to get slaps. But the point is this, that sense, that level of consciousness is completely different. Don't try to only analyze and understand it through a thought process. Dive into sadhana and you will see what it is.
So what
See, definitely when you see suffering, you should pray for it. But now you want to solve it, no? When you want to solve it, you must first ask the question, to whom is this question occurring? Because unless you have empowered yourself with self-knowledge, you cannot make great changes in the world. Know this for certain. No, now you want to help Sheikh Hasina. It is affecting the mind. It is affecting your mind. When you can't change a situation, you pray for it. You want to change the situation, then you must go into self-knowledge. Then you are empowered to make a change in very profound ways. But without self-knowledge, if you just sit and keep brooding, oh, what is happening in Bangladesh, what's happening in Iran and Ukraine, of what use is it to any of them? So better don't brood, pray, and first get the knowledge of the self. This is what any jnani will tell you, any realized person will tell you. First find out who is it who's feeling the pain. Does it make sense? No, still I want to brood. You cannot make a change. See, the ways of the world are so complex. Even if you have very well-meaning intent and emotion, you cannot make a change just now. So pray for it now. And leave it means pursue your self-knowledge. That is where you can make the change, and that will help you then profoundly change others. It will help you do that. But until that happens, you just have to pray and wait. Find a practical means. Rather than every day seeing that breaking news and getting frightened, and this is what most people are doing. Because the mind is so restless, they can't change any situation. Just keep getting frightened by the breaking news, and all the time news is breaking news. Because all channels are only wanting subscribers. They are wanting you to see it. So this is sheer waste of time and energy. If you realize the ways of your own mind, you will understand the ways of the world. There's no need of going into news channels all the time. Why, what crime is happening where, your own mind will tell you. As long as these Shadripus are reigning in our hearts, Kama, Krodha, Mada, Lobha, Moha, Matsarya, there will only be all these things. Confusion, wars, attacks. What is there to be surprised at? What is happening here? Microcosm, macrocosm built on the same plan. So that's why first change this. You will get the power to change that.
All the knowledge is within us, somebody says. So that is because now they explain that perception is inside. So that is how I have to understand that knowledge is within self.
Yes. Knowledge is within.
So how I have to understand the knowledge is within me, not outside, means whatever I am perceiving is within me. So that is the knowledge.
See.
He is actually meaning her self-knowledge, how it will improve situation of Manga or their miseries. Am I correct, Sabine? Yes. She is meaning that her self-knowledge.
How will it help? See, if you are asking how self-knowledge helps the world, if this is your question, try to see all through world history, who are the people who have actually impacted the world most positively? Tell me who? Was it Napoleon? Was it Hitler? Or was it Vivekananda? Was it Buddha? Who impacts the world most positively? So you know, then why self-knowledge? You don't know the power of self-realization is you can change thought currents anywhere profoundly. That is the power of self-realization. When you change thought currents, you change minds. When you change minds, you will change the objects of the world. You will change tendencies. Yes, like Buddha and Angulimala, Swamiji and all the various idiots he encountered in life. That is the way to make the change. First, build the power of your own mind through self-knowledge. Otherwise, see, if I myself am in a state of confusion, what knowledge can you impart? What can you inspire in others? You will only inspire what you are. That's the law of interaction, That's why they always insist, first ask yourself, who is it who's asking for a solution? Yes?
I want to know when the mind becomes extremely pure and is involved in the self-knowledge, it comes to Shravanavara, and the point of when it happens, the self-knowledge really happens. Is that a sudden occurrence or is it, how does that really the revelation take place?
Swamiji says it happens in the twinkling of an eye. And it is a realization. What is the meaning of realization? Something is already there. I saw it now. I didn't create it. I saw it now. It was already there. I realized it. That it is always there. Arey, Atman is always there. I was thinking I am body and mind. I switched my perception. Now I see I am the Atman. It is a realization. Not an invention, not a discovery, not a creation. It is a realization.
Yeah, Kulata is needed for this.
Yes. Correct. How this works? See, in words we say many things. Now, may Atma rest in peace. Atma is ever in peace only. Mind is not resting in peace. So actually it should be, may the mind also rest in peace. See, don't assume Atma leaves the body. You must ask what is death first. What is death? Atma leaves the body? What? Body leaves the Atma. What happens? Tell me, what is death? Freedom from the senses. See, for this, no, I board actually. Kalke board ektu boshiye demo. I will draw and show you what it is like. Because no, that visual aid is required. See, Annamaya Kosh is separated. The rest of you continue, which means Manomaya Kosh. Mind continues. With that Atma. In fact, it is in the Atma that all life and death, everything happens. But anyway, if you can't wrap your mind around this, at least this much you should know, mind and Atma continue. When mind continues, you are continuing. Even now, how do you think of yourself as an embodied mind, isn't it? So you are continuing. Only body fell, and according to your sanskars and karma, you will take up another body. So in death, only this much happens. That's why I told you, for the dying man, there is no death. He knows he is moving out. But for the onlooker, he makes a rough conclusion, it's death. So you must look at it deeply. Kathopanishad should help us see death very deeply. Yes.
So after death, Pranamaya Kosh, the mind and rest of the body, it continues. So is it so that the realization is better there than the Prana is inside the body?
No. See, realization has to be had while you are in the body. Because what happens when you move out of the body, you are not directed by this kind of an intent and decision making and all you can't make. You are simply guided by your sanskars and the karma phal you have created. Only these two. So, how you choose another body or which loka you go depends on the resonance of your... It's a kind of resonant thing. What resonates with your sanskars, you will go and fall there. You are not capable of willful decisions in that plane. So you are not capable of realization even. It must happen here. Here and now, only you can realize. That is why the insistence on having realization here. Don't waste this human life. Any sage will tell you that. Only here you can get this knowledge. There only you are reaping the fruit of what you got here. So take care. We have a deadline. Actually. Yes. What? Yes, definitely. Yes. It goes by intent, I told you, no? When you are praying intensely for a soul which has left the body, your intent will power that soul. So definitely it will help. Sukshma Sharira. Actually it is not just soul, it is Sukshma Sharira. Yes. 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 See, you are asking this question because you are thinking Atma also is some kind of physical entity. Atma is consciousness. See, your exact question should be, at what point the Atman which has entered into another body becomes conscious? That is your question. So, there is an Upanishad called Kathopanishad. It is actually giving a timeline. 4th, 5th month, the child gets the fetus, you should say, in the womb of the mother, gets a sense of itself. It starts feeling like it will kick the womb also, no? It starts asserting itself and gets a sense of itself. And once it is born, for the first 8 months, it forgets that sense of itself and sees itself only in its mother's eyes. How she is, that is why it affects the baby a lot. And after that, he understands that even when she is not looking at me, I am. Even when I am not looking into her eyes, I can do things. He becomes independent gradually. So that is the course of evolution. That is why you see, in a woman's life, motherhood is a very, very important thing. You can change psychology and sanskars just like that. Tell me, which teacher can do that? Which legislation can do that? You can change the sanskars of your child just like that, just by the power of your presence. That is the great blessing of motherhood. But today's mothers are not at all understanding their importance. They rather want to assert themselves on the work field, in their careers, rather than changing the psychology of another being. How important is that role? If we only understood this, we would play our roles well, isn't it? Differently. So don't think. That's why clear ideas about human life, human death, and what is carried over, how it profoundly affects the system, and how it re-enters. All this should be there. This is there in Upanishads also. Kathopanishad speaks of this. Time up. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Please don't forget and come tomorrow. Please come day after tomorrow.